Women Photographers International Archive, or WOPHA, was co-founded by art historian Aldeide Delgado and visual artist Francisco Maso to research, promote, support, and educate on the contributions of women and non-binary photographers to modern and contemporary art. WOPHA celebrates and expands the visibility of women photographers, both here in Miami and around the world. I am honored to have been invited to host this inaugural film series as part of Give Miami Day, our city's largest annual online giving event. As an artist, communicator, and advocate for creative visibility in Miami's cultural landscape, supporting WOPHA feels deeply personal. This organization represents the power of community, the importance of visibility, and the transformative potential of photography. Today's conversations are more than interviews. They are actually encounters. Each dialogue opens a window into the passion, resilience, and vision that drive the women and allies who are helping us make Miami a meeting place for the international photography community. Join us as we listen, reflect, and celebrate their stories, told in their own voices. I am your host, Leslie Gabaldón. Today, we're joined by Nicole Combeau, a Colombian-American artist and educator. Her practice weaves together photography, book arts, and installation to explore themes of memory, belonging, and identity. Born and raised in Miami to Colombian parents, Nicole's work is grounded in the stories that connect generations, especially through the lens of women, family, and community care. Nicole has been an active member of the WOPHA community, contributing her voice and perspective to the Foundation's mission of elevating women photographers. She led a photo walk during the WOPHA Congress in 2024 in Miami, guiding participants to engage with the sensory landscape of the city, and her work was later featured Between Sentiments at the Miami International Airport, an exhibition presented by WOPHA that reflect on memory, migration, and place. Through projects like community portraits, Nicole continues to use art as a form of connection, tender, inclusive, and deeply human. Nicole, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Nicole, your work is grounded on storytelling and family. How do your Colombian roots and your Miami upbringing influence your creative process?
So I was born to migrants from Colombia. They came in the late 90s, and I was raised predominantly by three women: my mom, my grandma, and my aunt. And growing up between here and Bogota, I think that I was constantly trying to find my own sense of identity, and I couldn't really find that in a location. It was hard to feel like I had a sense of belonging here in Miami, and it was simultaneously hard to find a sense of belonging in Colombia.
So you were not from here or from there?
Like a lot of first generation or a lot of children of immigrants, a lot of immigrants as well. And so I didn't necessarily knew where I belong, and so I found my identity in the women that raised me. My mom, my grandmother, my aunt, they were my sense of home, and wherever they went, it was where I was really able to feel a sense of comfort, a sense of home.
So that wherever they went, that was home.
Yeah. And the older I got, the more I realized that not being able to find and claim a specific location as home was not benefiting me. I wanted to find a place where I could establish myself. Finding a place where you can establish roots and you can build community is really important. And as a college student living in New York, I didn't really feel that, and I didn't feel that about Miami. I didn't feel that about Colombia. And so when I returned from New York after college, I made an effort to build and find community here. And so since then, my work has really focused on what it means to be from two places, how to bring those two places together, how to identify that they're both part of my identity, how to make home predominantly here in Miami for now and maybe in some future in Colombia.
So let me interrupt you for a second. So far, you haven't mentioned photography, which I think it's important to get into that right now, because when did you first realize that photography could hold memory in a personal way for you?
Yeah. So I first started photographing when I was 12. And at the time, photography for me was a way to establish a sense of control. It was a time.
That's interesting.
It was a time in my life where I was experiencing a lot of grief. I felt out of control through deaths that were happening in my family. I didn't really feel safe and secure in my own body and in my environment. And so photography felt like something that I could utilize to, to reiterate, feel a sense of control of what I was experiencing. And as I've gotten older, I've shifted my perspective of photography, or rather the way that I engage with the photography really changes. And now for me, photography has become a way to imagine new realities, or more so explore aspects of my subconscious, things about my material reality that feel relevant to me, but I don't necessarily see them in our day-to-day. So for example, I work a lot in double exposures and layering images. Specifically, I layer a lot of images of family. So I look at photographs of my grandmother, my mother, myself, and how in this layering process, I'm able to see the ways that all of those lineages influence me in a way that traditional photography or straight photography might not necessarily allow. But, images for me are a way to hold something close, to materialize something that's inside of my mind, and essentially create an image that I can hold on to, that I can imagine as real, that I can also then subvert and change. And so photography really allows me to play with my subconscious, to explore the metaphysical aspects of my life and my philosophies. It also allows me to have some kind of proximity and closeness to my family. I work a lot with family archives.
Tell me a little bit about that. Well, there's two things that are very interesting to me and to everybody. It's, I think that from that sense of not belonging, you took photography as a route to control certain things that were out of your control, but also you're well known for your community engagement activities. So how do you connect family and community into your work? And how do you integrate it? For example, in the creative portraits, the Karli portrait. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that early on, especially in high school, when I started working, or I started going to a charter art school for photography specifically, I realized that beyond all of the things that I loved about image making, I also loved how I was able to build community through it, and how I was able to photograph people and see themselves reflected in images, and they could also control how they wanted to be reflected. And so very early on, photography not just became a tool for myself to, express, but it also became a tool for me to be able to connect with others around me and allow them to have a platform.
So that sense of community was important to you. What brings me to my next question. How did you find WOPHA, or did WOPHA find you? How was your encounter and your interaction with WOPHA organization?
So I actually do not remember, and I've told you this, I don't remember how I met Aldeide the first time. And that's, obviously how I learned about WOPHA. But I remember that I started to see her around town, and the way she holds herself, the way she talks about photography, the way she spearheads critical thinking around the medium, for me is extremely interesting. It's also something that doesn't exist that much here in South Florida. And so, naturally, once I observed her and identified what she was doing, I've just been following her and following her work. And luckily for me, and I think also for WOPHA, Amanda Bradley joined the team, and Amanda has been a big advocate of my work and a friend for many years. And so I was invited to participate in Between Sentiment at the Miami International Airport, which was a duo exhibition with Su Montoya. And that experience allowed me to showcase work at a place that felt extremely important as a child of immigrants, a place that, connects and is the first place that a lot of immigrants see if they have the privilege to see the airport. And so it really gave me an opportunity to think about this migration experience, being from both places, a lot of these things that we're talking about, how I felt like I was from neither there nor here, but there's still a meeting point, and the airport is that. And so those are the first memories that I have of WOPHA, of Aldeide. Of course, the Congress, which for me is so interesting because I feel like we don't have meeting places for critical thinking and photography here in South Florida, specifically with the focus on women photography. And when I think about photography, I think about women. I think about...
Really? Why?
Because I think that women are the ones that have shown me the photography and the type of photography that I want to participate in. A photography that's rooted in sensibility, is rooted in reworking archives, is rooted in identifying and feeling a sense of place from not necessarily an invasive and colonial lens, but rather let's make this a place for all of us. And I feel like Aldeide and WOPHA is really doing that here in Miami. I'm really grateful to have them.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're super grateful. For those of you who are just tuning in right now, we are conducting a series of conversations or encounters with key members of WOPHA organization here in Miami who have been involved in several ways. We have, for example, today Nicole Combeau, who's a very young artist here in the community, and listening to her talking about how WOPHA has given her a window of opportunities to be seen. And listening to her talking about how women had influenced the way that she approaches photography, it's very beautiful. So, Nicole, to the person who is listening right now to this conversation, what would be the message that you would like that person to get from you? What would you like to say to that person?
I think the message about WOPHA and what WOPHA means to Miami is a meeting place for photography, specifically from both artists of the Caribbean, of the Global South, and artists in North America. I think that Miami in particular has one foot in the Global South and one foot in the American South. And having this place of intersection is so important, especially within the context of photography that has shaped the understanding of America, North America, the US specifically, so much. And now having this conversation with South America, the Caribbean, is extremely exciting. So for me, a message for people interested in WOPHA and learning about WOPHA and participating in WOPHA is photography is alive here, and we're exploring how photography exists in all of these different places in the America and internationally, specifically through the lens of women. So that's very exciting.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That's such a beautiful message, and I appreciate you coming here today to share your experience, not only as a WOPHA member, but as an artist in Miami. I super appreciate you sharing your personal stories as well.
Thanks. And then I'll answer that last question, which is a message that I would like to share.
Sure.
Which is often or always that art is for everybody. I think that we live in a culture that shows us that art is for the exclusive elite, which historically it has been. And one of the messages that I really like to promote through both my educational programming, my photography, and just generally my day-to-day is that art is an inherent right to every single person. And it's a way for us to be able to connect deeper with ourselves. It's a way for us to grow empathy towards others. And it's also just a way to live life better. And so even if you're not necessarily creating work that's in a gallery space or in a museum context, creating art and being exposed to artists and being a patron of the arts is extremely important to both art our arts ecosystem and general overall health of our society.
I think that's very clever, Nicole. Thank you so much for inviting people to join us in this beautiful quest.